This is your Dojo Live co-host Ram Ganesan, broadcasting from New Jersey. It's 1 p.m. Eastern and 10 a.m. Pacific time. I'm joined by my friend, colleague, and comrade Tulio Siragusa from Los Angeles, California. And our guest of honor today is founder and CEO of At Properties, Thad Wong. Thad, welcome to the show.
Thanks. It's good to be here, guys.
Yeah, always great having you and similar people on Dojo Live, and uh, and I would love to spend the next 30 minutes understanding a little more about you and what you do for Ad Properties. And the topic for the conversation today is tech and its effects on the real estate industry. So, Dad, why don't we just start with a quick intro and overview about who you are and what you do?
Sure. Thad Wong started selling real estate in 1996, and in the year 2000, came up with an idea with my business partner to start our own company focused around two things: marketing and technology. And we were coming up with a name. My last name's obviously Wong. His last name's Golden. So calling it the Golden Wong was not in the one of the best choices, even though it was on the board. And I wanted to come up with, we didn't have a lot of money at the time. And so branding and marketing and developing brand recognition was going to be challenging. So I wanted to come up with an opportunity to have a symbol, maybe not like Prince, even though I'm from Minneapolis, but some sort of symbol to define the company, because all our competitors were names of companies, Coldwell Banker, Baird and Warner, Keller Williams. There were all these people who have named companies after themselves. And our ideas was really, our goal at least was to build the company far bigger than ourselves. So we didn't want it to be the Golden Wong. And at the time in 1999, it was the tech bubble. So everyone was looking at technology companies and overvaluing them and making money, then losing money. But I thought that if we had the @ sign in our name, if I could make it so every time somebody emailed somebody and hit the button of the @ sign for the address, and they could think of us in real estate, that would be the best marketing money ever not spent. So I came up with the name At Properties. It was great for being unique, but back then people used directory assistance 411 to get phone numbers. And when you would say that, the person on the phone would have no idea who we were. So, coming up with At Properties was a big, it was a big win, I think, at the end of the day, but short term, we questioned it. Also, it was really focused at the beginning around marketing because that's what we could afford. The technology piece, we were building a website. I don't want to say we were behind the times. We knew that was the future. But at first, we started through really creative marketing initiatives. So that piece of it was where we spent the lion's share of our money. It wasn't until 2004 when we were having a hard time integrating with a lot of the software to support our agent base that we hired our first engineer. And when we did that, I don't want to say it was so strategical that we would end up knowing that we'd become the first company for a end-to-end solution for agents, but it was dumb luck. But I was just trying to solve a problem and create efficiency for our clients, which are the real estate agents. So we hired an engineer, started band-aiding external software together, ended up being the first company in the country to have an API with Zillow and Realtor.com. And at the end of the day, ended up building up all of our own systems internally, where we're one of the few companies, if not the only company nationally, that uses very little external software programming.
Hold on to that thought. We'll dive deeper into tech. I just wanted to stay on the uniqueness of your brand At Properties, right? And clearly, like you mentioned, you're getting a lot of free marketing every time somebody types in an email address, etc. And speaking of unique, there's definitely a couple of unique caricatures or paintings behind you. Can you speak about that a little?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of art. I always have been. And I think it's a big part of our success in marketing. We were really well known for our marketing before our tech. Our tech is really based for the agents. Now we're consumer facing, but we're really known for our marketing. And a lot of that is the creativity, I think, driven by art. And so the Mickey is a cool one. It's Damien. I'm a big fan of Damien Hirst, you know, the most successful living artist. And so is the one with all the colors. That's called the Veil series, Veil of Logic. And I flipped you around, you'd see some Maricome flowers, and Hebrew Brantley, that's a local artist with a character named Flyboy, and a Michael Dweck is a photographer who focused on photographs in Montauk. But I'm a big fan of cool art. You know, there's something almost indescribable of art, and it can make you feel immediately, and it's something different for everybody. So I love it.
And it's great in the way you've allowed that passion and creativity and appreciation of the arts blend into or meld into at properties. So back to the topic, tech and its
Okay.
effects. So you were,
One back thing on that, I don't know, you guys, we just, there's a local muralist named Lefty out there. He's actually been so successful, he's moved out to LA. But just last week, I flew him back, and he did a mural on the entire building of ours, which is 70 feet tall and 100 feet wide. I'll see if I can put up a little picture so you can see it here.
That's pretty cool. You said Lefty who? What's his last name?
Lefty out there. So so that
wow.
is actually a one of the largest murals in Chicago now. You can see embedded in the middle is the word love. That was probably our biggest marketing effort, where we hired an artist to write that word. And if you're in Chicago, you see that word everywhere, on billboards, on magnets, on cars, on buildings. And so we just painted the largest one with one of our favorite local muralists.
Amazing.
It's cool.
So art, tech, and real estate. That's a heady combination right there.
Yeah.
So let's go back to tech a little. So first, the API for realtors that integrated with Zillow and Realtor.com. Fast forward to 2021. What are the other effects of tech that you're seeing in the real estate industry? We're seeing everything from drones and 360 cameras and virtual reality and virtual sales, etc. So give us the trends that you're seeing, and what is the trends that are going to stick?
Well, the presentation of a home, you know, that is one that is ever evolving. And we have done a couple of sales where the person never walked through the house, but it is very, very infrequent. And in reality, traditional, that's one of the things that's changed very little. The person visiting the house and deciding if they want to purchase the house. Now they're narrowing their scope of homes down to those that are really going to fit their needs, even from just photography and floor plans. Virtual walkthroughs are great. Some people, it makes them motion sickness. Drone footage is fun. You can get so much information online, though, that that's one of the best things, that you don't have to waste a lot of time seeing houses that aren't going to fit your needs. Where the greatest technology, I believe, is for us internally, creating efficiency for our agents from contract to close, while offering efficiency for the end consumer. Whether it's through, most people like to talk about search, whether it's through search, but more importantly, after contract, when it has to do with mortgage, title, inspection, all the different things that can actually, you can actually lose money on. Those are the things that I like to focus on, because enhancing search is fun. I don't want to say it's gimmicky, but it's not as important as making sure that properties are inspected properly and disclosed properly, and saving people time to prepare their homes so they're put in the best position to have the highest end result. And one of the big things we're working on, having our technology be consumer facing, is that I am a firm believer that in order for brokerage to maintain its cost to the consumer, brokerages need to be improving their service every year, like every other industry. And part of that is by remaining valuable post-closing. Everybody gets the postcards and the recipes and all the same things been being done for 50 years for agent promotion. What I'm really working on is how our agents can directly improve the life of their client post-closing, whether that's through reduction of cost of home ownership, whether that's through experiences, whether that's through value in travel, sporting, etc. There's so many different categories. But our distribution from the relationship between the real estate agent and the consumer, I think people have underestimated the power of that relationship when it comes to cost of customer acquisition for a long time. And the agent is thriving and thirsting for more that they can do for their end consumer, and how more that they can do to remain valuable. Because what's the agent looking for? The agent is looking for a repeat customer and also a referral source. So we were very focused on that, and our software will be consumer facing by the end of the year, and we're just kind of beginning to explore the different things that we can bring to the consumer. That's where I think the biggest benefits will be, and also how brokerages can really remain relevant over the next couple decades.
And how do you go about developing this software? Do you have a dedicated team?
Yeah.
Do you spend half of your time conceiving it? How does it all get put together?
Well, most of the greatest things in the world are discovered by women. So we were super lucky about 8 years ago to hire a COO that had experience in technology integration. So I can come up with ideas and I can try it out like any user. But when it comes to coding, engineering, and creating an operating system, I'm a salesman. So that's not something that I am an expert at. So I brought in an expert, and she has been the brainchild in the integration of all of our software, and she's absolutely fantastic. So, I definitely have outsourced that operational piece. I still come up with some of the ideas and try things out, but that piece of our division has grown so significantly that it's its own company in many regards. It's a good sized, mid-sized tech company. I think we've got about 25 people just in our technology department. So it's humming. We're looking to hire about another 4 or 5 engineers by the end of the year. As we all know, thankfully, the cost of engineers is rising. I know most people aren't happy about that, but I like that. I like the fact that engineers are making more money and their value is increasing, because they are the future in a lot of different ways. And they've, accelerated their skills, so their value should be in similar to medicine and doctors and people that put that much energy in saving our lives. These people in a lot of ways are improving our lives.
So Thad, you said something interesting earlier, which is the big challenge for companies in general who only have like a one-time transaction every few years. In some cases in real estate, it might be every decade or so, right? So just curious to see what you've learned so far. Because customer lifetime value and that approach to it works very well for high touch point, banking, et cetera, right? But companies in the manufacturing space or real estate space have struggled with this in the past. So I'm curious to see what you guys have learned so far in this process that is being effective in terms of having the post sale relationship for adding value to that consumer that perhaps other industries could borrow from. Any lessons so far?
Yeah, I mean, for our industry, it's 100% relationship. And one of the most important categories in a relationship is consistency and availability. So, to give you an idea, 85% of Americans use a brokerage to buy a home, but only 15% of that group use the same agent to sell their home. And when you look at them, when you talk to them, the lion's share would, but that relationship wasn't valuable post-transaction, exactly what you're saying. So for the last 20 years, what we really focused was improving the personal relationship. Because when you talk about value, it's very much, how do we find you an electrician, a plumber, an architect for an improvement? How do we remain memorable for you? So one of the ways you can remain memorable, and this doesn't involve technology, is the maintenance of the relationship. And that has to do with organization. So we built our own CRM that we ping our agents when it's important to reach out to their customers. We also offer them solutions with gifts to send to the customers, direct mail to remind their customer why they're important, items of value. So we do a lot of different things so our agents can maintain the relationship. And even through guilt, right? Great holiday presents, great birthday presents, remembering a birthday, remembering a home anniversary. Those things tell the customer, you're important to me and I'm here for you. And that's how we've increased our percentage when it comes to a repeat customer. Now we're trying to do it in things that I can automate for the agent. Most of those things the agent could click in our software and send things out, gifts, postcards, tax appeal. We had a tax appeal software company that we reported that we worked with all of our customers to appeal their taxes. That was a big one, right? Lowering the cost of home ownership can lower the cost of your property taxes if that's an opportunity for you. That's one we did about 5 years ago, where we had every single address of every home we sold knew if the home had a likelihood chance of reducing their taxes through our algorithm, and sent them a less expensive way of doing that. So that was like one idea that we did through technology. In the future, what I really want to look at is I really want to look at the cost of electricity, the cost of gas, things that are used most often, the cost of food, things like that, where we have, you know, 1 million people in Chicago that are contact based. How can I work with a company that's trying to find a distributor to lower their cost of customer acquisition, give that benefit directly to the consumer, and have the credit go to the agent? That's what I really think the piece de resistance is, because our job is to really give a benefit to the agent to pass on to the customer for the agent to remain valuable.
So
And the
just to
agent
follow,
is really our customer at the end of the day, because that's how we
right,
produce revenue.
Got it.
Without the agent, we don't have any revenue.
right. So just as a follow, I mean, compensation does drive a lot of behaviors, right? So I'm only going to make money if I sell the house or rent you this property, and then you represent no cash value to me. It's a very oversimplistic way to look at it, but so is there, through this program where the agent gets credit, are they getting some compensation, like an affiliate kind of program, or is that something?
No, there are a lot of companies that feel that they have to pay the agent for that. And okay, I think that takes away the authenticity of the value to the consumer, right? If you've got to pay me for access to the consumer, you might be selling something to the consumer that's not best for them, right? If I have a true relationship with my customer, and that customer uses me to buy and sell homes, that's how I make my money. I don't want to push on them products that someone's paying me to get to them. That's not what I want to be. That's not the kind of broker I want to be. And if you show something to an agent that says, hey, I've got a product that you can authentically inform your customer about that will enhance their life, truly enhance their life, that agent is going to be ecstatic to be able to introduce their customer to that product, because that agent is going to get the credit for that introduction. And that's all the agent really needs. I would question the agent that wants to make it a profit stream if it is truly beneficial, because that money has to come from somewhere. And if that profit you're getting as an agent, why don't you just give that to your customer? I will promise you, there's nothing that anybody can give you, unless you're selling a high ticket item like a private plane, that's going to be as valuable as the commission or the referral commission earned by an authentic, honest relationship.
And I think that's very well said. And you made a point before where you said that for 85% of the brokerage-enabled transactions, only 15% come back to the originating, I guess, selling broker or buying broker to sell their homes. But in my mind, there's a huge time lapse between the buying and the selling time frame. Typically, I'm guessing upwards of 10 years. Typically, yeah. I don't know if there is a mean statistic to that. But I would say that all of this tech that you're enabling is ultimately making me as the buyer refer my agent to someone else because I'm top of mind now, right? It's a recall, and not because you sent me a recipe or this thing, but it's that overall combined customer experience that this person, even long after he or she has made their commission out of me, are still treating me as a person. So then I would want to pay it back by referring you to my neighbor who wants to sell their home or whatever, right? And I think that's the real Holy Grail here. Or do you really think that there's value in waiting till the point when I'm ready to sell my home?
No. A true relationship is being valuable when you're not needed. You know, correct. I mean, just all of the time. And so when we talk about technology, we built things to remain valuable, so that if you bought this house and something happened in your neighborhood, another home sold that affected the value of the house, our automated technology tells you that. So it's fun as a consumer to just get the information when you really need it, and you only really need it when it is important to you. You don't want to sift through all the garbage that's getting sent to you that's really just self-promotional for somebody else. So developing that technology was some of the first things we did 10 years ago, when we were able to have open access to all closings, tax records, etc. So I believe that's what I'm saying. If you're valuable when you're not being called upon, you're much more likely to be thought of when you're needed. And that's what we're trying to change. How do we change it so the customer goes, what is my agent's name? Where their agent's name, the agent's so valuable to them throughout the process post-closing that they know that agent's name. They might even know their number by heart, even though nobody knows numbers by heart anymore. They know they can find them in their contacts. Right. That's what we're working towards, is really building the value of the agent to the consumer on all things relating to home, and sometimes things not relating to home too, that are just fun.
Yeah, and we've seen that, like for example, with Zillow adding value in many ways, right? I mean, Zillow was yet another real estate website, if you will, but then the Zillow value became a thing, and originally everybody just looked at it for kicks and giggles, but then it's now become a driver of price discovery in so many ways, and people look at it even though you're not selling your home or anything, just to see how much equity they've built into their property or anything like that.
Yeah.
Right?
To tell you how valuable it is, in our digital CMA, in our digital listing presentation, we pull the AVMs from, I think, Zillow, Realtor.com, and maybe Trulia. So we pull the AVMs from those syndicated sites and put them in our presentation, because I do believe that the seller needs to know what their buyer is seeing online. And if you're unaware of it, it's not good. And with Zillow, those guys are so smart. I mean, if you ask me in real estate, who is the smartest group in the room? It's Zillow. I mean, Zillow ate the real estate brokerage's lunch. Now, our commissions are still going to us, but they siphon out. Zillow can actually, I call those leads, those online leads, because the conversion rate is so low, I call them scratchies. You know, I try to teach my kids not to gamble, right? So I brought them to 7-Eleven and I bought them $10 worth of scratchies. They scratched them out, scratched them off. They won $6. They looked at me, it was a disaster. Because they were like, we won $6, Dad.
You taught us to gamble.
Let's buy more. I was like, oh my God, that was such a terrible tool. But that's what it is for agents. And then they have it so the agent sees their face and their name on the screen in the geographic location they want to be popular in. So Zillow, I will tell you, they can make 100% of the commission without being involved in the direct transaction. Because people are buying these scratchies and people are buying their identity in the geographic location. And I'm not saying it's a waste of money. I have a lot of agents where it's a good use of their marketing dollars. But Zillow, they're the smartest guys in the room. If you're going against Zillow in our industry, I just tell you, it's better just to listen and learn, because you know you're going to lose.
Wow. So they're the Tom Brady, if you will, right?
I love them. You know, it's like you want to love your competition, right? Because you want to love your competition because they're better than you. They're what you aspire to become. You don't want to hate your competition, you know, because for whatever, you want to get past that. You want to see in your competition what you don't have, what makes them successful. And in that, if somebody has something that you don't have that makes them successful, how do you not admire that?
Got it.
Nobody wants to be average.
Sometimes they become
average.
Sometimes they become the opportunity for an exit too. They become the acquirers for the gap. So you definitely have to build those relationships.
Yeah.
Smart move, Thad.
Yeah, we use them to our own demise. Here's an interesting thing. Like, so when Zillow and Trulia and Realtor.com, more Zillow and Trulia were out there and people were afraid of them, they were offered this deal where you could pay them money, and if you're the premier broker, so on every single one of your listings, only you were there. So we took that deal, and I don't know if we had it for 6-7 years, and we spent a lot of money reserving our right to have our face on our own property. Okay. And it was smart. Now it funded in a lot of ways what Zillow is today, but we got a lot of recognition from doing that. So by partnering with them on maybe our long-term, I don't want to say demise, but our long-term consequence, I would do it again, because I think our benefit to doing that in the short term was well worth it, especially being a small growing company. I think we became #1 in Chicago in 2007, but we had our greatest growth during the downturn, during the Great Recession.
Wow, that's interesting. That's when the real estate market had pretty much tanked.
Yeah,
and,
that's where Buffett says buy when there's blood in the street. If you can't grow when the market's going against you, you made a lot of mistakes.
And then when it rebounds, you really start growing on an accelerated pace, and
Yeah.
that's definitely something.
Good results is like checking companies that, when we were shelter in place from COVID, a lot of people did nothing. Our team never worked harder in their life. It was like having that solitude at home to be able to break everything and rebuild it and make it better. That was a blessing. Those 3-4 months, not really. I wish it would have happened without COVID, but I'm telling you, we made the most of the time we had at home during shelter in place.
That's amazing, and that just pretty much brings up on time. But I think any closing remarks, Thad, for the audience out there? What are the trends in tech that you see both on commercial as well as residential real estate that we should be looking out for?
I think the most important trends right now are non-consumer facing. So most people won't see them or be affected by them. They'll be affected by them, but they won't know it. There's
Gotcha.
a lot of stuff being done systematically right now that's making the process way easier for people. I'd probably say that what is the number one technology in real estate to date? DocuSign. DocuSign allowed real estate agents to do far more business and made it significantly more convenient. It's nothing that a real estate company designed. The real estate company didn't solve that problem. So I think, other companies that are servicing and looking at our industry and the commission amount, trying to get a piece of that, we need them too, because the ideas aren't going to only come from our own fiefdom.
That's great, and that's a fantastic thought. Once again, we have Thad Wong, CEO and co-founder of At Properties from Chicago, a wonderful art aficionado. And when you are in Chicago, check out the mural outside the At Properties building.
Yeah.
I'm joined by my co-host Tulio Siragusa. Today it's Wednesday, September 29, and I look forward to seeing you on the next segment of Dojo Live. Over to you, Tulio. Back to you.
Yeah, come back today at 12 o'clock Pacific. We have another show. Looking forward to having our guest. So don't miss it today at 12 o'clock Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern time. And just stay with us as we go off the air, Tad, for wrap up. And looking forward to seeing everybody back. Thank you.